Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Julianne and I am currently trying to complete a TBR 0 project. This means I am trying to read every single book that I own in print in order to declutter my life, make some space, and just generally get to actually enjoy all of these books that I've been collecting over the years, finally, after all this time of casting them aside for ebooks and audiobooks and all of that. So this is my December recap. Now in previous months I have done a vlog, but this month was just too busy. I kept trying to vlog and I'd film like little bits, but it just wasn't coming together. So I decided to abandon the idea of vlogging and figured I would just do a recap at the end. So yeah, here we are. I read a lot in December. I think this is one of the reasons why I didn't vlog. I was too busy reading. It sounds made up, but it's true. But I was reading in, you know, the odd scraps of time. I was listening to audiobooks whilst doing other things, whilst going for walks, whilst on the way to work, whilst on the way home from work, whilst on the way to the gym, whilst at the gym, etc. I was reading graphic novels whilst in my pyjamas with my hair like totally needing washing, etc, etc. So yeah, I did not get much time to vlog. I just kept forgetting to do it at the start, and then by the time I remembered I needed to do it, it was too late really. So there we are. But just grabbing my phone so I can check off my numbers, I read 40, yes 40 books slash graphic novels slash collected editions of comics total in December. Which sounds like a lot, but a lot of them were comics, I promise you. And some of those middle grade graphic novels that I read only take like an hour and a half. Absolute maximum to read. Some of them it's more like 45 minutes. Really, really, really quick. So I was knocking out some of those, like several in one day, and I was really prioritising those because I was tantalisingly close to hitting my 200 books read goal. So yeah, I was like, must have been on like 160 towards the end of November, and yeah, I just could not abide the thought of being so close without giving it a really, really good go. So I put out a spreadsheet. I genuinely did. I made a spreadsheet. I worked out how many books, how many like books, how many novels I thought I could realistically read. I thought about how many audiobooks I could realistically read, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna have to make up the rest of the numbers with graphic novels. So that's what I did. 10 of those books and graphic novels and collected comics were print books that were in the house. So that's good. Some of those got ticked off, but the other 30 was all audiobooks, mostly from the Audible Plus catalogues. That was great. I got to tick off some of those. And a couple from Spotify. And I read a couple of ebooks that I owned as well, and I had borrowed I think a couple of ebooks from the library as well. So yeah, it all came together in the end. I'm just going to kind of talk you through some of the things I enjoyed the most. So I read some more Witch Hat Atelier. I read I think 4 volumes of Witch Hat Atelier. Witch Hat Atelier volumes are quite long, they're like over 200 pages, but again, graphic novel slash collected manga. So yeah, it is a quick way to get the numbers up. And I am still absolutely loving this series. I'm now completely up to date with the English translations, so I don't know what I'm going to do now. I'm going to have to find another manga series to read. If you like or love, like I do, Witch Hat Atelier, please let me know in the comments if you've read any other manga that you'd recommend so I can check them out, see if the library has them. I read quite a lot of Audible novellas. I'm just kind of scrolling through my list here. You know, some of them didn't really leave that great an impression on me, but I did really love the 2 by Michelle Stimson that I read. So there's Let It Snow, which is set in an airport. Like the vast majority of the story is set in an airport, and All I Want for Christmas, which is kind of the same, not the same story, but it's set in a hospital. So I really liked how like location focused these novellas were. It made it really fun, especially the one set in an airport, Let It Snow. That was really lovely. They're both romances, and they're both really cute and sweet, and yeah, adorable. I really loved the graphic novel Ballad for Sophie, which I think someone in the Gumption Club mentioned. So the Gumption Club is like the community for Lena Norm's is Patreon patrons, and I can't remember whether Lena had read this or whether it was just somebody in the Gumption Club who mentioned it, so they really enjoyed it. But I was like, oh, I need more graphic novels to read this month. Let me just see, just in case this is available at my library, and it was. And I could borrow it right away, so I did. Win. It's just fantastic. It's about this reclusive pianist who gets visited by a journalist who persuades him to tell his life story. And it's just really beautiful and moving. So there we go. We read, me and my partner read the Dogman and Cat Kid books by Dav Pilkey together. It's like one of our favourite things to do. We have a tradition where when a new one's available at the library, and we get to the top of the hold list, which always takes a really long time, so this is much anticipated, we read them together and we get chocolate orange whilst we do it. So we had a chocolate orange. In fact, I put some of I made hot chocolate with some of the chocolate orange this time, which was exciting. And we read Cat Kid Comic Club Influences, which was brilliant as usual. Really enjoyed that. I finished A Merry Little Meet Cute, which I actually started last Christmas but didn't finish, which is like a very like kind of high concept, silly romance novel about like a not so wholesome couple who get together on the set of a really, really wholesome movie. And that drama occurs and romance occurs, and yeah, it's just very, very fun. Another book I read because of a recommendation was Mamo by Sas Milledge, which was recommended on the Books Unbound podcast, I think. It just really stuck in my head after they were talking about it, and so I went on my library to see if they had it. They did not, so I hit the notify me button thinking, oh, they might get it eventually. Like a week later, I got the notification to say they purchased it. I was like, get in. So I borrowed it right away and really enjoyed it. It's about a witch who returns home to the village that she's come from to find things in massive disarray, and this other young woman kind of convinces her to stick around for a while and sort it all out, even though she really, really doesn't want to. And her grandmother, who was the witch of the village, is kind of responsible for this, and she knows it's probably a trap, but she feels compelled to sort it out anyway. It was just really, really beautifully told, and I very much enjoyed it. Then read Rise of the Shadowfire, which is the second in the City of Dragons middle grade graphic novel series. Really, really enjoying these. Looking forward to the next one. Then I finished reading Unboxed by Non Pratt. I think I started Unboxed by Non Pratt in November. I think I may have like started reading it whilst at Thought Bubble or something, but I definitely was kind of in the middle of it. Had forgotten what happens at the start. It's only really short, but I just read so much since then. I had to go back and reread it from the beginning in order to remind myself what happens. But you know, it was really good. I enjoyed it, so you know, no problem there. Beach Read by Emily Henry. I felt like it could have had a different title. I know they really like the 2-word titles for Emily Henry books, but from Beach Read I was expecting a lot more like lying on the beach. I expected the beach to feature in it more, and the beach did not feature that much. The sort of Small Town did. So maybe it should have been called Small Town. I don't know, but I really enjoyed it. Possibly not as much as I enjoyed Book Lovers. I think Book Lovers is probably my favourite Emily Henry so far. Like, You and Me in Vacation was really fun and intense. Beach Read was like really emotionally moving, but I think Book Lovers was my favourite. I just loved the characters in Book Lovers and the whole premise so much. So there we go. I read No Place Like LA, which is sort of like the sequel novella to Merry Little Meet Cute, where kind of two of the side characters kind of talk about their romance. Or like, I think it's all from the point of view of one of them. So this is one of the side characters talking about his romance. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Isla to Island by Alexis Castellanos. Beautiful, beautiful graphic novel about all the political upheaval in Cuba in the 1960s. The main character is a child migrant who moves to the United States without her parents, and how she just cannot get on in this new place and finds it all very confusing and not like home at all at first. Then I read The Good Neighbours by Holly Black, which as a Holly Black fan who is now 2 books behind, no, 3 books behind, I own 3 Holly Black books that I have not read. This year I will get to them. But yeah, I had meant to read The Good Neighbours for ages. It's a graphic novel trilogy. I read the collected edition. I could have counted it as separate books, but I didn't. I counted it as one, even though it is quite long as a trilogy. Yeah, really enjoyed it. More good, morally... I don't think morally ambiguous is the right way to describe Holly Black's fairies. Morally different is maybe the best way. Yeah, and I really enjoyed that, and I really enjoy like the settings and the sort of costuming of the characters, even in the prose. She's really good at describing clothes and making them sound really enticing, and yeah. I love that. Witchy, volume 1 and 2. This is actually a webcomic that's been published as collected editions, and I really enjoyed it. It's set in a world where witches' powers are dictated by the length of their hair, and the main character's father was executed because his hair was too long, which sounds silly as a premise, but it makes total sense in this world, I promise. And the world seems really like expansive and exciting, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens next. I read Squished, a graphic novel, and Allergic, and also a graphic novel by Megan Wagner Lloyd and Michelle Me Nutter. They work together on both of these. They're both middle grade graphic novels published by Scholastic, and this sort of issue book. Squished is about like being part of a really big family, and Allergic is about a girl who is allergic to dogs and is devastated because this means she can't have a pet one. But it's also about friend issues and stuff. They were just really well done, despite being very issue focused. Gabby Gets It Together. It is basically the Babysitter's Club with dogs, but set now. There we go, and I enjoyed it. I expect great things from that. Making Friends by Kristen Gudsnook. This is the weirdest middle grade book I have ever read. It is so strange. I pointed out, I was like, is this really a middle grade? It's super surreal. A lot of fun, but really strange. It's about a girl who inherits a magical sketchbook from her grandmother and finds that when she draws things in it, they come to life, including the kind of floating severed head of the villain from an anime she loves, and her new best friend. Yeah, she gets herself into a lot of trouble. Not entirely sure she learns her lesson, but it was enjoyable. A Freestyle by Gail Gallagher. A lovely, adorable graphic novel about a dance crew member who discovers yo-yoing and makes a new friend. Just so cute. Loved it so much. The Clementine books by Tilly Walden. So these are tie-in graphic novels to The Walking Dead. I have never watched The Walking Dead. I have never read The Walking Dead, and I have no desire to do either. But I read these because my partner got them, and he really enjoyed them. And I have read graphic novels by Tilly Walden before and really enjoyed them. I really like her art style, and I really like the way that she tells stories. So I read these and I enjoyed these, and now I'm really into the story. Zombies and all. Danger and Other Unknown Risks by Ryan North and Erica Henderson. Absolutely amazing, brilliant book. Enjoyed it so much. It's a sort of middle grade coming of age apocalypse saving the multiverse kind of story. It's really hard to describe, but I enjoyed it so much. It was brilliant fun. Glass Half Empty by Rachel Smith. Rachel Smith has written a lot of kind of short collected comic books about mental health. And this I found the most like emotionally devastating of them all, because it talks about her difficult relationship with her father, who was an alcoholic, and her own relationship with alcohol. And yeah, it's a tough read, but really, really good. Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. This was the Illumicrate book last month, and oh my god, it was brilliant. I struggled to put it down. I really, really enjoyed my time reading it each day. Everything I could possibly want out of a Illumicrate book for the read along. A++. Really excited to read more books by Alex E. Harrow. I have Juan, which was a previous Illumicrate book waiting for me to read, and then I will be checking out everything else that this author has ever written. This month I read a lot of books by Norm Conyu, who is a comic creator, and they are just fabulous. They are like, they're all, apart from one, which I will shout out in a minute, sort of like kind of rural fantasy stories, I guess, but sort of like kind of like quiet horror. Like, they're not gory, they're just kind of creepy. They have this just like impeccable vibe of darkness to them, and they really get you thinking. Yeah, enjoyed a lot. The one I particularly wanted to mention is not like that though. It's A Call to Cthulhu, and it's a really silly book imagining what someone would say if they could phone up Cthulhu and tell him how much they hated him. Basically, that's it. That's the whole book. It's great. I loved it. Minotaur by Alyssa Tryman, who is like one of the artists who did Giant Days for a while. Brilliant book. It's like a little comic about a weird trip to IKEA. It's great. And then finally, Cuckoo by Joe Sparrow. I really enjoyed Joe Sparrow's previous book. What was it called? Homunculus, yes. So I was excited to pick this up. It's about a girl who develops mysterious powers and has all of these memories kind of start surfacing in her mind at the same time. She meets a new friend who shares these abilities, and kind of explodes some stuff in Crystal Palace Park along the way, and discovers something really unexpected about herself. It's, yeah, the art is amazing. Joe Sparrow has this really like kind of like geometric, quite bold style. It's unlike anything else that I've read, and it works with the story really, really well. So there you go, that's my recap. We got there in the end. The highlights of my 40 books read in December, month 6 of this project. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know if you've read any of these, if you will read any of these, if I've successfully influenced you, and let me know if you're doing a TBR0 project. I would love to chat to you about it in the comments. You'll see me again soon. Bye!